Hey, welcome to Sylvie's technique vlog. If you're new to my technique vlogs, generally I introduce something that I'm currently working on. I talk about maybe where I learned it, why I'm using it, what I like about it, some things that I've come up that make it difficult or that I'm struggling with or trying to figure out with it. They're very much things that are like relevant to what I'm currently doing in my training. I have a public version that I put out for free on my YouTube that just basically introduces the idea and anyone can go try it immediately at their gym. And then I have a much longer involved version that I offer to my patrons as a thank you for their support, where I talk a lot more about the processes that I'm going through, access to the library, where is probably where I learned some of these things, and kind of more of the details of how that's going. Usually I say these are not instructional or demonstrational. This is really just a rumination on the techniques that I'm working on. This one actually is demonstrational. There are times and many different reasons for which you might end up having to shadow clinch. It's cool to be able to shadow clinch just for itself, like as part of your shadow boxing. I have a technique vlog that's about shadow boxing and the importance of shadow boxing, how to get into it if it's kind of new to you, if you're embarrassed about it, this kind of thing. So you can go check out that technique vlog about shadow boxing and how to have confidence and flow in shadow boxing. But you can also shadow clinch, which is something that people probably don't really think about because clinch is so much an interaction with someone else. There are a few caveats to this. The first is you are not going to go from not knowing any clinch to becoming really good at clinch through shadow boxing. It's just not possible. My rabbit just came over here. He's running around. He wants to see what I'm doing. You're not going to go from like not knowing any clinch to being really good at clinch through shadow boxing. You can't do that because you have to have the puzzles and angles and engagement of another person to be able to really feel what those things are. But you can go from wherever you are in clinch to both sustaining and getting kind of like a better idea of all of this in your clinch through shadow boxing, which is really cool. You can do this if you just don't have any clinch partners in your training. You can do this if you're in lockdown, which some people are. You can do this kind of all the time just as a way to kind of stay sharp in your shadow boxing, using shadow boxing in your clinch. So I am going to show you some examples of how to do this, but something that I have to say beforehand is that more important than anything that you're going to be doing in using shadow box to help kind of work on your clinch, the mind's eye is unbelievably important. This does not mean that you have to be able to see in your head an opponent. The actual visual of your opponent in shadow boxing clinch is not important. So if you have a hard time creating pictures in your head, and you're like, I can't do this, I can't create pictures in my head, you don't have to do that, that's fine. It's kind of a weird word, but instead of image, Kevin and I like to use the word feelmage. So you feelmage someone in front of you. So you don't have to actually like visualize someone in front of you, but feel where their body would be around you. This is very helpful if you have clinched with people before, so you can like recreate that feeling. So again, the more clinch experience you actually have, the more you can bring into your shadow clinch. If you have very little actual contact clinching, when you do stuff in shadow, you're going to have to filling in a lot of gaps that you haven't actually literally felt. But I'm going to get to this. So the first thing you want to work on is kind of just the general like movements and flow of shadow boxing in clinch. So the way that I clinch, like in real life, I angled this down to talk to you guys. All right. So the way that I actually clinch in real life when I have a partner is I like to kind of grab behind the neck here and on the inside of the arm here. You can't really use your hands because you're in gloves all the time, so you want to kind of keep your hands in these little like T-Rex kind of raptor things and try to do most of your movements like this. And then you just want to kind of like feel your weight, right? So if you're going to be clinching with someone and they're going to be coming in, I'm pushing on the chest here, then I grab, I want to turn and land a knee. Then I have to recover from this. I have to think, what is the next thing to do off of this? So in the same way that when you're shadow boxing, you want things to flow pretty easily like this, cutting around angles, all of this stuff. You want the same kind of flow in your shadow boxing. In your shadow boxing, you want in your clinch as well. So if I'm keeping someone off of me, I grab them, I rip them, I knee, push off. Now I have to re-engage. So I'm gonna try to think, how do I grab? Something you need to look out for, and this is actually something that makes shadow boxing clinch really good, even if you do have clinch partners, is that when we get into sparring, all of us are sparring like this, right? We're like ready to do all of the different things that we do from our striking position. When it's time to clinch, when you do like 30 minutes of just clinch, everybody's forms completely change. All of a sudden, everyone is coming at each other like this. Their arms are like this, and they're like getting ready to clinch. You don't fight like this. Nobody fights like this unless you're getting like popped in the face. So in shadow clinch, practice keeping your guard the same way it would be in your sparring or in your fighting. So get used to moving and transitioning into clinch from a position that you use for fighting and sparring. So you can come inside, you can pop that arm out and grab the back of the head. You can throw a knee from distance, this kind of thing. So get ideas from feelings that you've actually had in your clinch before and try to recreate those. You can do it in incredibly slow motion if you need to. Like, okay, I'm going to grab the back of the head here, and there's gonna be resistance there, so I have to put some tension in that arm, and then I'm gonna pop it to the side to create an opening to come out this way. That's totally how you shadow clinch, and it's really, really useful because you're basically playing out scenarios like chess moves and figuring out where you're gonna go off of that. So go try that in whatever space you have in your house. If you have access to a gym and you have a little bit of space there, you can do some shadow clinching there. Even if you have partners, check it out, see how it changes what you're doing in your clinch with your partners. And if you have no partners, this is a really, really good way to keep moving in your processes and stuff like that. So if you are a patron, keep watching. I'm gonna talk a lot more about this and show a lot more things that you can practice in your shadow clinching. And if you're not yet a patron, click on the link in the description below. It's very easy to become one. See you guys.